Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Greg.
And I'm John!
We're gonna be doing a Beauty and the Beast review. Oh, thumbnail. I don't know what my face is supposed to mimic. Exactly, I don't know. Alright, so we saw Beauty and the Beast 3D.
3D!
Oh my god, that snow was like actually there.
You know what, man? I was impressed by the 3D in this movie, and I'm usually not impressed.
Well, you like everything.
I like...
I like this movie. I did like this movie.
I did.
I didn't feel it's perfect, and I didn't feel I wasn't swept away by it. I did find a lot of really awesome things about it, though.
Yeah, there's a lot to admire about this movie. Even if it's not sweeping you off your feet from beginning to end. You know, like, there are definitely moments where it is.
Yeah, well, when the movie starts off, they give us a prologue that's not in the cartoon. They give us this prologue that really shows us, you know, how the Beast became the Beast and why and everything.
Such a beast.
And I didn't care for it. I didn't like it. I actually thought that it would have been cooler if the first time we see the Beast is when Belle's father, played by Kevin Kline, shows up at the castle. That way it's all mysterious and we're wondering what's going on. I mean, if you've seen the cartoon, you know, but as a first-time viewer, I would feel like I'm in this character's shoes.
I almost wonder if they maybe tack that on so that, like, the inevitable children would not be as scared when he first shows up, because...
I was thinking that, too, because it's kind of scary when he's first there, yeah.
Because especially when you're seeing this all in real life with, like, not cartoon people, you're like, oh, wow, he could really destroy a human being.
But that's what I would have liked it, because it would have been scarier.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I already know the whole thing now because of the prologue and everything. Because I haven't seen the cartoon in probably over a decade. I knew it well enough to, like, know. I like how they had the backstory. That was like one of the few things they added that I didn't care for. One thing they added...
For an enjoyment thing, like, I wasn't hot on it. But I do appreciate that as the sort of, like, lead into some of these movies that they're doing. It's like, you know, it ties them together. It's like, oh, they're storybooks, you know, here's a little narrated piece.
Well, yeah, the first one had a narrated piece as well, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It didn't play out like that. I think Emma Watson does a really good job.
I do, too.
I mean, she's so beautiful. And I'm so glad she has a giant movie after Harry Potter.
I like Emma Watson in general, and I liked her in Harry Potter. There's a thing where, like, I don't get, like, fuck yeah, Emma Watson, like a lot of people do. And so this was a nice surprise for me, because, you know, it's been a while since I've seen one of her movies, and she did charm me a whole lot in this.
Yeah.
Like, she does play Belle in a really natural kind of way, you know?
Oh, totally.
And she's able to carry off those big sort of sweeping emotions, and she's able to make you sort of enchanted by her. So.
I don't know how to sing, and I don't even know how to, like, tell truly when someone's, like, not good at singing or something. Like, if someone sounds nice to me, they sound nice, but then, like, professional singers might be like, they're not that good. Like how everyone reacted to La La Land. The difference with this movie is you got a lot of actors who can really sing, like hit Broadway musical notes, you know?
Yeah.
And Emma Watson, it was the first time I watched the movie, and I was like, oh, this is what, like, a film actor's singing lessons sound like, you know? It's good, but it's not on the caliber of the other singing performances in this film, I think.
Yeah, and this is the first time I think I've really, like, consciously noticed that in a movie where I can actually bring it out and be like, yeah, I feel like most everybody overpowered her singing performance.
True.
Like she sings all the songs nicely, but her voice isn't as strong, I guess, as a lot of the others. Like, she's a fine singer, but, you know, she's not a Broadway singer.
Yes. What I will say, though, one thing that she did exceptionally well, and it's the same thing I feel about the cast members in La La Land, was they still kept the emotion there while they were singing.
Yeah.
Because while she's not hitting the notes of how a lot of the cast members might be able to hit them or the original cartoon, I felt her emotion, though. And it was very much present in, like, the way her expressions and everything. It was like she's still giving a good performance, though. She's still doing a really good job. It doesn't look like she's just focused on the singing.
Yeah.
She's focused on the meaning of the words, which I really appreciated. And I felt like that can make up for whatever you feel she's lacking in. Because I don't think it's, like, distracting that she's not on the same par. But it is kind of noticeable at first.
Yeah, I noticed it periodically. Because some of her songs are better than others, too. It's like when she gets songs that are a little more suited to her voice. I don't remember them being numerous, but there are a couple times where you're like, oh, yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. Luke Evans, though, I think is great in the film.
Yeah, I thought he did a terrific job.
I thought he was hilarious. I felt he brought him a three-dimensional performance to it. I felt he was actually layered, you know?
Yeah, I thought he was the right size, because I know a lot of people aren't into his portrayal because, you know, he's different from the spirit of the cartoon.
And also he's a lot skinnier.
Yeah, I again, that's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I could see, like, a Dwayne Johnson-sized dude playing that character is the problem. Like, I feel like Luke Evans, for translating this into live action, is a great like, he looks great, and he's got, you know, his little flourishes when he's, you know, like, looking at himself in the mirror, and, like, he's good at playing cartoony, but
he's
also
a great
natural.
singer, too. He's a great singer.
Yeah, if that's really him singing.
I think that's him,
I was surprised. That's the thing, is I was impressed by his vocals, and I wasn't expecting to be. Like,
and this isn't a spoiler video, so we're not going to give anything away, but they do make some plot changes with his character to make him a lot more unlikable.
Yeah.
Which, we were with our friend Andrew from Movie Source who didn't like that. I liked it, though.
I did too, and
it's necessary for this live filming. I think you can explain that better.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're gonna, anytime you're hopping over from one medium to another, you know, you're hopping from animation to live action, there's certain stuff that you're gonna factor out, you know, with animation. You know, there's certain things your mind will just naturally factor out with animation. You accept a more heightened tone and a more heightened set of rules, and it's fine. But, you know, there are certain things that when you translate them to live action just would look funky or scarier, you know, or... Which is why making a Beauty and the Beast live action that families can all see is kind of a tricky thing. With Luke Evans, I guess. Like, making him, like, making those changes, like, making him a little more decisively unlikable, it helps us out when we're jumping over here because it justifies some of the things he gets.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're gonna see a dude, you know, fall to his death...
Well, because one thing you pointed out was how the Beast in this movie, played by Dan Stevens, so I thought did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I did too.
I liked him. He was charming and everything. I thought he did a good job. When you're watching a cartoon, you're more forgiving for certain acts. But when you're watching, like, Beast, who we've established is really a human being, like, the movie makes that very clear at the beginning of the film. With the Beast, you take from animation to live action, when you watch this movie, because it's live action, you're more aware, like, this is some fucked up shit the Beast is doing. It's domestic violence, what he's doing.
Well, and I think that's why it worked. I think that's probably why it worked a little better for me this time, because when we finally got to see the Beast interact with present-day characters, for a while, he's pretty... formidable.
Oh yeah, he's got a terrible rage temper.
Yeah, he's real mad.
He imprisons Belle's dad, and he's imprisoning this
dick.
Belle's like his slave, who he takes out on dates and shit.
The lonely, angry dick.
Yeah, it's just so quick, and he'll like thrash stuff. He's domestically violent to live with, this guy. That's why I think bringing it back to Luke Evans, making him worse, is good for the film, because there's a lot you gotta get forgiving on with the Beast, and the film does a good job of allowing that to happen.
Because it's a bigger ask in a live-action movie for us to sympathize with the Beast, and so it has to be a bigger villainy to balance that.
And it's harder work to make us like the Beast when you're watching him treat humans a certain way.
Well, and especially nowadays, like, with the connotation of this very tale, you know, like, and this is an updated version, you know, at least hopefully to combat the toxicity.
I like the touches they have with Belle in the film. Yeah. I loved how they made the mother a presence of the story, of how her mom wasn't around and how she doesn't know what happened. I love how they explored that, because the cartoon doesn't do that, and I thought that added a lot of dimension, not just to the film, but especially to Emma Watson's performance. I felt that gave her a lot more to work off of in terms of developing her as a character, seeing why she is the way she is. The touch of Kevin Kline saying your mother was fearless. That made more sense for me, why this girl from this village would stand up for what's right and not be afraid of the Beast and everything, because she's honoring that.
Well, that's a cool thing. It seems like Disney really is using their platform right now to be like, you know, we're gonna remake one of our beloved princess movies. We'll go, you know, princesses, and go, you know, very, very empowering little messages that are thrown in, you know, which is, hey, do it.
One thing about the Beast, though, that I really wish they just did. The whole house, the castle, everyone being CGI, fine, that's totally fine. It's like teacups and shit.
Well, and actually the
Lumiere
house
look great.
Staff,
They look the clock. They look great.
And CG is really good at replicating shit I already know is an object.
Yeah,
you know, like.
But the Beast, while I get there are certain moments where, yeah, that needs to be CGI, the amount of how he was designed, there was so many times where I was thinking, why didn't they try practical? Maybe they did. But I was thinking, you could have done practical with this. You could have. With Disney, with the money they have and what we've seen from other films in general,
and
this could have been practical.
There are some incredible, and I mean, you could have done assistance or something, but there are some incredible prosthetics and masks and things that they make now, and things with animatronics and stuff like.
Because there's plenty of times where just the Beast looks so fake and looks so CGI. And it would pull me out of the film, and I feel like that's a big reason to why I didn't feel like this film was sweeping me. Was because I just didn't fully believe that this was a real Beast all the time. It just looks so fake in some shots. It's way too CGI for me.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's like you get engrossed in the little details, and there are certain shots and bits where he does look good. But it always like for me, I'm just always reminded that I'm looking at pretty good CGI.
Yeah.
It isn't always great.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like
it doesn't pull you into the point where you forget it's CGI.
I know that part of this is like, we're gonna fuse the character with your performance. I assume he mocapped this, and I almost feel like he did a good job through it, but I feel like he almost would have done a better job through just some makeup.
Yeah,
just something I know is there.
Yeah, and it would have made it better for us as the audience, because when you're constantly going back and forth between that's not good CGI to that's pretty good CGI, your thoughts are going, that's good CGI, but you're not pulled into it like, I don't know, like how Dawn of the Planet of the Apes pulled me into the point where I was like, I'm forgetting I'm watching CGI characters.
Well, and also when the seams show, you focus on that stuff more, and that's probably the easiest thing to latch onto, because there are moments where I wasn't thinking about it, and I was just dazzled by their relationship unfolding, that weren't hampered by me going,
That's true, because when their relationship, when they start to get along, and they start to really bond, that was really good. I bought it. I believed it.
Yeah,
I
did too.
And it was like, I think it's a challenge on Emma Watson's part, but I felt the dimensions and the layers that they added to her character made it a lot easier for me to grasp that by the end of this movie she could fall in love with this guy.
Yeah. They actually connect.
And it gives a guy like me hope. Hope is what I wanted. Josh Gad is LeFou.
Josh Gad.
I like the touch of, there's like gay stuff in this movie. They added black people and gay people to this movie, which is good.
Again, Disney is the biggest tower in all the land, and they're smart enough to know we gotta appeal to everybody. And also like that's a good thing to do, morally speaking. And with a movie like this where it's all about height and production. Well, throw every kind of person in there.
These characters are in France.
It's fantasy France. This is not
France with all British accents, when Lumiere the Candle has the only French accent in town.
But if you're doing a fantasy, it actually helps the story, because if you really do it, at least nowadays, if you really do it like historically accurate, you're gonna have a bunch of people just wondering about that.
Yeah.
Like, why are we focusing on this when it looks like life is a little strange out here?
Josh Gad, I liked him. I did. He's not a bad singer. The thing, though, is he's the only one who felt... It's like weird. I really enjoyed him, and he definitely made me laugh. But he's the only one I felt very modern. Everyone else felt like they were in that time period. I felt like this dude was a modern-day dude to me.
Yeah.
Because it's Josh Gad, too. And I don't really know Josh Gad's work, but just the way it was all being done was like... He sees what's funny about him being gay in this movie,
I guess so, yeah. He has all these little mannerisms that are very, very sassy and stuff like that. And they are funny. I think this movie does have sort of a... There are a few people who are on different levels of cartoony, and he was a little bigger than I was maybe hoping for, but I still liked him. I still enjoyed his songs and stuff and his little bits of performance. But yeah, he is... I always felt like he was just hanging out in a costume.
Exactly right.
He's the guy in the play who's still hanging out when we're doing the scene. And
I think him and Luke Evans play off each other really well. Too.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
And that was the most important aspect to that character, I think, was the buddy for Luke Evans.
Oh yeah, they have to. You can't have them not get along somehow,
And as far as people in the castle, Emma Thompson as Mrs. Potts.
She's great.
Ian McKellen as Cogsworth. Ewan McGregor as Lumiere. I thought were great, especially Ewan McGregor. I thought his Lumiere performance was wonderful. I didn't know it was Ewan McGregor. I was like, who's this French actor they hired? I was trying to think, like, what French actors can I think of right now?
Well, and it's interesting because it is like a toned down French accent a little bit, like, you know, so the kids can still hear it. But yeah, I mean, like, I'd forgotten. I think I heard he was cast, and I was like, I didn't think of it, but.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised, you know.
I thought he did a great job. He's super charming, sexy Candle. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, he was dashing.
I
like
thought he was perfect. Yeah.
The whole, like, all the objects in the house I thought were terrific. Like,
Oh yeah,
everybody
they have great personality for sure.
And they're animated really great, you know, the way that they move, you know, because there are more details now and you can see more, you know, gears, you know, and bits and pieces. And those things all, that CG looked great. Like the wardrobe, like whenever that thing talks, you know, like her curtains blow in and out and sort of move, and like
that's a cool effect. I could see them doing like bringing that to life at Disneyland or something.
Unless that was actually real, like, which who knows, maybe.
I feel like that could have been,
you know, or at least assisted with CGI, but some of it was real. But yeah, the whole house staff, the voices are great. Like, you understand why they got everybody they got, I thought, and the animation is great. And there are some. I know some people have complained about them, but there's some really beautiful sequences, you know, like Be Our Guest is like trippy and psychedelic and becomes a full-on like number that breaks the bounds of, you know, just narrative reality. And like that stuff I thought was really cool. And that was when partly the 3D started to get...
Did they let her eat?
I don't think they did. I think that's a running joke in that, is like she's always about to eat something and they're like doing the production. But yeah, and like that's another thing that's pretty darn impressive about this movie is just not only the production value, you know, like the sets and the locations and the costumes, but also the amount of people and choreography and stuff. Like, they put a ton of work into this movie, and a lot of it does pay off, I thought. Like, I know you don't like musicals as much as I do, but I've come to more appreciate just the artistry of seeing people, you know, do musical numbers like this and see how people shoot them. And I thought everything for me, came together top notch. I was like, yeah, you're throwing down on these song and dance musical numbers, and they're pretty dazzling. But, you know, there are people who know more about that shit than I do, so.
That's fair. Most of the additions they added, because for the most part, it's the cartoon. For the most part, it's exactly the cartoon. There's a few things they added that I've covered some of them that I don't like and do like. They added a musical number that I thought Dan Stevens sang wonderfully well, but I didn't like this scene, though. It's when, if you guys seen the cartoon, minor spoiler, when Belle leaves the castle to go help her father out, Dan Stevens, and in this one, instead of a roar, he breaks into a song about why he's depressed and Belle's leaving, I'm going to be alone. That was too much. I thought it was too sensitive for the Beast right now. I don't know. I just didn't. I thought like all Beast went away at that point. And
but that's okay though, because
totally it's okay. I just didn't like it in the movie.
That's fair. I mean, I now remember exactly which scene you're talking about, because at first I was like, where did that fit? At least from this standpoint. Like, I would have to go back and rewatch it and see if it, you know, affects my enjoyment of that chunk of the movie. But I remember thinking, I do like that he gets a song at that moment, because that's a pretty crucial moment. I like the way they shot it a lot. That weird thing where he's like walking through the castle and they're showing like her throughout windows, and then like he's climbing taller and taller into this big, lonely, desolate, empty place, watching the one little ray of sunshine leave because it has to. I think that was a well-conceived sequence, at least. You know?
Well, I just think in the animated movie, like, this movie's doing the animated movie. I think for the most part it is just being the animated movie. How he responds and the moment they leave him with is really effective in the animated movie, and the movie was doing what the animated movie had done, but instead of a roar and anger or whatever, I don't know, it seemed a little out of character for me in that moment for him to just fully sink into that. One could justify that it shows that he's really changed and he's become, you know, all sensitive now and stuff too.
I don't think it's a bad choice per se, but
I don't think it's as effective. That's my point. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, like, it's also been a very long time since I saw the original movie. Like, I know I saw it a bunch of times growing up. I have a reasonable working knowledge of it. You know, I'm not sitting here like, you know, how this harks back to the original, you know. So if I went back and rewatched it, some of these moments might come down in magic value for me, which is just disclosure.
Well, no, when I was watching the movie, I didn't immediately think Why are they adding this? I was halfway through the song, I'm like, I'm not really liking this scene. And then I went, wait a minute, is this even in the original movie? I remember thinking that halfway through, going, I don't even think this was in the original movie. I don't know, just the way that whole scene was done. I mean, it's shot cool. There's things to appreciate about it. His singing is really good.
I don't know if I
thought
liked the song, actually.
That's what it is, I think. Yeah.
That was the part, is I wasn't sure if I actually liked the song. And then the thing, too, about these kinds of movies is sometimes it's hard to decipher the lyrics when you've got other shit around, you know, and it's in a theater and it's like you've not heard this song before, you can't fill in the blank. So yeah, that's the one part of that scene I made note of and I still don't know, because am I mistaken? Didn't Josh Groban like write that song or something?
I think so.
And I don't always love his music.
But I thought it was already heartbreaking when the Beast had to let Belle go. And it was already sad, and they all had given up, and then it's like, let's really milk this all is lost moment now with another song, you know? I was like, we don't need this song right now. Yeah, it might have just been the song. Because I was thinking that too, because I agree a lot of what you were saying. Like, it's not a bad choice. It's cool that he gets his own number. It's cool that they added that too. It was just the way the song was, where I didn't care for it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, wait! Shout out Kevin Kline, bro.
Oh, Kevin Kline's great in this movie.
Kevin Kline was wicked good in this movie.
Kevin Kline was wicked.
And I can't wait for
I got my first big laugh from Kevin Kline.
And I can't wait for all the Maurice was raving memes to come out of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna happen. I just know it is.
Rating system time. I would say this movie is really good.
Oh, really? I feel like I felt like I liked it more than you guys coming out of the movie theater last night. Did. And I would go with pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Like an enthusiastic pretty good. You know, like my rating system is all about my tone of voice. So you know, like pretty good. It's intermittently magical, and then you know when you're pulled out of it, you're still at least like there's still a lot of really great stuff here.
True.
Like, it's magical sometimes. I cried once. It just doesn't.
I did cry.
It doesn't come all together.
But I cried any movie. Well, you can subscribe to The Real Rejects. John's, just go to the description box and look at all this shit.
You know what to do.
You've
You've been here before.
Goodbye.